Have you ever felt stuck trying to express yourself, fumbling for the right words, only to watch opportunities slip through your fingers? Or perhaps you've been in a conversation that seemed like an endless maze, leaving you drained and unheard. In a world where relationships are currency and words hold power, mastering communication is not just a skill, it's a superpower. Picture this: a confident individual walks into a room, instantly commanding attention, not because they are the loudest, but because they understand the art of connection. They speak, and people lean in, eager to hear what's next. That could be you. Yes, you can transform your ability to connect, to persuade, to inspire, and to lead. But here's the thing: effective communication isn't just about speaking eloquently or crafting clever arguments. It's about understanding the human mind, building trust, and creating genuine impact. Today, we're going on a journey, not a boring textbook lecture about grammar or vocabulary. This is about real-life, actionable techniques that will elevate your interactions. By the end of this audiobook, you'll see conversations not as obstacles to overcome, but as opportunities to seize. Whether it's acing an interview, mending a fractured relationship, or delivering an unforgettable pitch, the strategies we're diving into will become your secret weapon. But beware, this isn't a magic pill. Mastering communication takes effort, practice, and a willingness to confront the habits that might be holding you back. Are you ready to challenge yourself, to unlearn old patterns, and to build a version of you that's impossible to ignore? Stay with me. In the next chapter, we'll unravel the secrets of what makes communication work and why most people get it so wrong. Here's a hint: it's not about what you say, but how you make others feel. Chapter 1: Breaking Down the Barriers. Let's start with the truth about communication. Most people overcomplicate it. We've been conditioned to think that being a great communicator means dazzling others with sophisticated language, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Think back to the last time someone truly captured your attention. It wasn't their fancy words, it was how they made you feel. Now, let's confront the elephant in the room. Why do so many of us struggle with communication? The biggest culprits are fear and misunderstanding. Fear of rejection, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of being judged. These fears create invisible barriers that stop us from being our authentic selves. The result? Stilted conversations, missed opportunities, and connections that never reach their potential. But what if I told you that those barriers aren't real? They're mental constructs, stories you've told yourself based on past experiences. And just like they were built, they can be torn down. Here's where most people go wrong. They focus too much on themselves in a conversation. How do I sound? Do they like me? Am I being interesting enough? This self-focus is like static on a radio, blocking the real signal. Connection. Shift your focus outward. Instead of worrying about what you're saying, tune in to the other person. What are they feeling? What do they need? What's the underlying message in their words? Here's a quick exercise. The next time you're in a conversation, ask yourself, what's their emotional state right now? Are they anxious, excited, distracted? When you start noticing these cues, you'll realize communication isn't about words, it's about energy. Match their energy, and you'll unlock instant rapport. But let's not stop there. In the next section, we'll tackle one of the most overlooked aspects of communication: listening. Spoiler alert, most of us aren't nearly as good at it as we think we are. Chapter 2: The Art of Listening. Here's a hard truth: most people don't listen to understand, they listen to respond. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself planning your next sentence while someone else is still talking? It's a common habit, and it's killing your ability to truly connect. Listening is more than just staying quiet while someone speaks. It's an active process, a skill that takes focus and practice. When done right, it can transform how others perceive you. Why? Because feeling heard is one of the deepest human desires. When you listen intently, you give people something rare, validation, and that's a gift they won't forget. Here's how to elevate your listening game. 1. Silence. Your inner narrator. That little voice in your head, constantly analyzing and judging, needs to take a back seat. Shift your attention entirely to the speaker. Notice their tone, their body language, and their choice of words. Often, what's unsaid is just as important as what's spoken. 2. Resist the urge to interrupt. You might think you're helping by jumping in with advice or a story, but interruptions signal that you're more interested in your perspective than theirs. Instead, let them finish, even if there's a pause. Sometimes those silences are when the real emotions surface. 3. Ask thoughtful questions. Good listeners don't just nod and smile, they engage. Ask open-ended questions that encourage the other person to dive deeper. Questions like, "How did that make you feel?" or "What happened next?" show that you're genuinely invested. Here's a little challenge for you. In your next conversation, commit to listening without offering advice unless explicitly asked. It'll feel unnatural at first, but you'll be amazed at how much more people open up when they feel you're not there to fix them, but to understand them. But what about situations where emotions run high and listening feels impossible? That's where empathy comes in. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate empathy in your interactions and use it to diffuse conflict and build trust. You're going to want to stay tuned for this one. It's a game changer. Chapter 3. The Power of Empathy. Imagine this. You're in the middle of a heated argument. Voices are raised, tension is thick, and it feels like there's no way out. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped trying to win and started trying to understand? That's empathy in action, and it's one of the most powerful tools in communication. Empathy isn't just about putting yourself in someone else's shoes. It's about truly feeling what they feel. It's the bridge between two minds, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for deeper connection. But here's the catch. Empathy doesn't come naturally in high-stress moments. It's a skill you have to practice. So, how do you bring empathy into your conversations? 1. Pause and reflect. When someone says or does something that triggers you, don't react immediately. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what might they be going through right now? Often, people's anger or frustration has little to do with you and everything to do with their own struggles. 2. Validate their feelings. You don't have to agree with someone to validate their emotions. Simple phrases like, "That sounds really tough," or "I can see why you'd feel that way," can instantly diffuse tension and make the other person feel heard. 3. Mirror their emotions. If someone is excited, match their enthusiasm. If they're upset, respond with calm understanding. This subtle mirroring creates a subconscious bond that says, "I'm with you." Let's not sugarcoat it. Empathy can be challenging, especially when you're dealing with someone you disagree with. But here's the magic. The more you practice empathy, the more natural it becomes, and the better your relationships grow. Still skeptical about empathy's power? Here's a little story to illustrate. A famous negotiation coach once shared how empathy saved a multi-million-dollar deal. Instead of pushing back on a difficult client, he listened to their frustrations, acknowledged their concerns, and responded with kindness. The result? Not only was the deal salvaged, but the client became one of their most loyal partners. Empathy doesn't just heal conflicts, it builds trust, the foundation of all great communication. And trust is where influence begins. In the next chapter, we'll dive into how to use trust as a cornerstone for persuasion. Yes, you can learn to guide conversations in your favor without manipulation or deceit. Ready? Let's go. Chapter 4. Building Trust, the Ultimate Influence Tool. Let's talk about trust. It's the invisible thread that holds every meaningful conversation, partnership, and relationship together. Without it, your words, no matter how polished, fall flat. But when trust is present, even the simplest message carries immense weight. The question is, how do you build it? Contrary to popular belief, trust isn't built through grand gestures. It's the result of consistent, small actions over time. It's about showing people, through your words and behavior, that you are reliable, honest, and, most importantly, authentic. Here's how you can cultivate trust in your communication. 1. Be consistent. Inconsistency is a trust killer. If your words and actions don't align, people will doubt you. Whether you're promising to meet a deadline or just sharing your thoughts, always follow through. Remember, every fulfilled promise, no matter how small, strengthens the trust others have in you. 2. Own your mistakes. Let's face it, nobody's perfect. When you mess up, and you will, own it. Apologize sincerely and focus on making things right. People respect those who can admit their faults far more than those who dodge responsibility. 3. Speak with honesty. It's tempting to sugarcoat your words to avoid conflict or gain favor, but people can sense insincerity. Be direct, but do it with kindness. Honesty builds respect, and respect fosters trust. 4. Listen without an agenda. Remember the art of listening we discussed earlier? When people feel heard without ulterior motives, they naturally trust you more. Show genuine curiosity about their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Let me share a story to bring this to life. A young entrepreneur once approached a group of investors with a brilliant idea. His pitch wasn't flashy, nor was he the most articulate speaker in the room. But what set him apart was his transparency. He openly admitted the risks, shared his challenges, and demonstrated his commitment to addressing them. The investors trusted him, not because of what he said, but because of how he said it, and they backed his venture. Today, his company is a household name. Trust isn't just about winning people over. It's about creating lasting influence. And when people trust you, they're naturally more open to your ideas. In the next chapter, we'll explore the art of persuasion, how to guide conversations and inspire action while staying authentic. This is where your communication skills truly become a superpower. Stay tuned. Chapter 5. Guiding Conversations and Inspiring Action. Great communication isn't just about exchanging words, it's about creating an impact. When you master the art of persuasion, your words become more than just sounds. They become catalysts for action. But here's the secret most people miss. Persuasion isn't about manipulation or clever tricks. It's about leading people toward a shared vision, one they feel personally connected to. The first step is understanding that people are driven by emotions, not logic. Even the most rational decisions are rooted in how something makes us feel. Think about the last time you made a major decision. Whether it was buying a product, choosing a career path, or agreeing to someone's proposal, chances are emotions played a bigger role than you realized. To inspire action, start by tapping into these emotions. Paint a picture of the future, one that's vivid and compelling. Speak to their desires, their fears, and their hopes. Help them see how the choice you're presenting aligns with what they truly want. The more personal and relatable you make it, the more powerful your message becomes. It's also crucial to build momentum in the conversation. Begin by finding common ground. People are more likely to trust and follow someone who shares their values or understands their perspective. Once that foundation is laid, use stories, examples, and analogies to make your point. A well-told story can cut through doubt and skepticism in ways that raw data never can. Clarity is equally important. If your message is muddled or overly complicated, you risk losing your audience. Simplify your ideas, but don't oversimplify their intelligence. Speak with confidence and conviction, and leave room for questions or input. Engagement fosters ownership, and people are more likely to act on ideas they feel a part of. Timing is everything. Don't rush to close the conversation or push for a decision too soon. Let your message sink in, giving the other person time to process, but also recognize the right moment to ask for commitment, a moment when they're emotionally and mentally aligned with your vision. In one memorable negotiation, a mediator was able to unite two opposing sides, not by overpowering them with logic, but by appealing to their shared values. By highlighting the potential loss of something they both deeply cared about, he created a sense of urgency and mutual understanding. The result? A resolution that seemed impossible just hours before. As we move forward, we'll explore how to handle communication when the stakes are high. Whether it's delivering bad news, addressing conflict, or influencing a critical decision, you'll need strategies that combine tact with impact. Don't go anywhere. The next chapter is where things get intense. Chapter 6. Mastering High-Stakes Conversations. When emotions run high and the pressure is on, communication becomes a tightrope walk. One wrong step, and you risk alienating your audience or escalating the situation. But handled correctly, these moments can become opportunities for growth, understanding, and even stronger connections. High-stakes conversations require preparation, patience, and precision. The first key is to stay calm, no matter how intense the situation feels. It's easier said than done, especially when someone else's emotions are boiling over, but your calm presence can act as an anchor. Take a deep breath, slow your responses, and remind yourself that your role is to guide, not react. Clarity becomes your best friend in these situations. When stakes are high, confusion can be dangerous. Be direct but considerate. Don't dance around the issue or sugarcoat it to the point where your message is lost. At the same time, choose your words carefully, avoiding phrases that could be misinterpreted as dismissive or accusatory. Another critical component is emotional intelligence. You need to read the room, sensing not just what's being said, but the emotions behind the words. Pay attention to body language, tone of voice, and even silence. These cues can give you insights into the other person's mindset, helping you adjust your approach in real time. One powerful technique for navigating these conversations is reframing. Instead of focusing on the problem, guide the discussion towards solutions. For example, if someone is upset about a mistake, acknowledge their frustration, but shift the focus to how the issue can be resolved or prevented in the future. This doesn't just diffuse tension, it shows you're proactive and invested in finding common ground. It's also essential to create space for the other person to speak. High-stakes conversations often involve heightened emotions, and people need to feel heard before they can engage in meaningful dialogue. Resist the urge to interrupt or defend yourself immediately. Let them share their perspective and validate their feelings without necessarily agreeing with their point of view. In a memorable workplace example, a team leader once diffused a heated argument among co-workers by stepping in as a neutral party. Instead of taking sides, they asked each person to explain their concerns without interruption. By reframing the discussion as a shared problem to solve, the leader transformed an explosive moment into a collaborative breakthrough. As we approach the final chapters, we'll explore how to maintain and evolve these communication skills for long-term impact. You've come a long way, but there's still more to unlock. Get ready for the ultimate payoff. Chapter 7. Maintaining and evolving your communication mastery. The foundation has been set, and you've learned how to break barriers, listen with intent, build trust, persuade with power, and navigate high-stakes conversations. But now, the real challenge begins. Maintaining and evolving these communication skills to keep your connections strong and your influence growing. Communication, like any skill, isn't something you master once and forget about. It's an ongoing process that requires reflection, practice, and adaptability. The key to long-term success in communication is consistent self-awareness. Regularly check in with yourself. How are you showing up in your conversations? Are you actively listening, or are you slipping back into old habits of interrupting and dominating the dialogue? One way to gauge your progress is by soliciting feedback from those around you. This can be uncomfortable, but it's one of the most effective ways to grow. Ask trusted friends, family members, or colleagues how they feel when they communicate with you. Are they heard? Do they feel respected? Is your message clear? Their feedback will be invaluable as you fine-tune your approach. Next, challenge yourself to engage in conversations that push your boundaries. Seek out opportunities to speak with people who have different perspectives, experiences, and communication styles. This will not only expand your range, but also force you to adapt and grow. The more diverse your interactions, the more you'll learn about the nuances of communication and how to navigate them. A great communicator doesn't just react to the present moment. They anticipate the future. The world of communication is constantly changing, influenced by technology, culture, and societal shifts. Stay curious and open to new tools and methods of connecting. Whether it's mastering digital communication platforms or learning the latest psychological insights into human behavior, there's always more to learn. One of the most significant shifts in communication today is the increasing need for emotional intelligence. As technology continues to evolve, the human element, empathy, emotional awareness, and genuine connection becomes more valuable than ever. In a world that's increasingly fast-paced and disconnected, those who can authentically engage with others will stand out. Remember, you're not just learning a set of techniques, you're cultivating a mindset that prioritizes understanding, connection, and mutual growth. When you approach communication with this mindset, it becomes less about mastering the right words and more about mastering the art of human interaction. To close, let me leave you with this thought. Communication is more than just a skill. It's a way of life. It's the thread that weaves us all together, and it's the key to creating the relationships, opportunities, and success you desire. The more you invest in it, the more you'll see its power unfold in ways you never imagined. Now, go out and use these tools. Practice, evolve, and remember, the best communicators aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who listen, connect, and inspire others to act. And that, my friend, is the true power of communication. Chapter 8. Mastering the Digital Conversation. As we step deeper into the digital age, communication has evolved in ways we couldn't have imagined a few decades ago. While face-to-face interactions still hold immense value, digital communication has become the backbone of how we connect, collaborate, and influence in today's world. But here's the kicker: digital communication requires a different set of skills. In a world of texts, emails, social media messages, and video calls, the way we express ourselves has transformed. The first challenge: tone. In face-to-face conversations, non-verbal cues, body language, facial expressions, and eye contact help convey emotion. But when we communicate through text or email, that vital context is stripped away. A simple sentence could be interpreted in a dozen different ways based on how it's read. So, how do you ensure that your messages are received as intended in this digital realm? Start by being aware of how your words might be perceived. without the added context of voice tone or facial expressions. Always err on the side of clarity and positivity. Instead of saying, "That's not what I meant," try rephrasing your message to avoid misunderstandings right from the start. Phrases like, "just to clarify," or "I hope this makes sense," can go a long way in avoiding confusion. Next, focus on brevity and impact. People's attention spans are shorter than ever, especially in the digital landscape where they're bombarded with information every second. If you want your message to stand out, make it concise, clear, and purposeful. Whether it's a text message, an email, or a social media post, ask yourself, what's the core message? How can I convey it in the fewest words without losing its essence? However, the rules of engagement aren't just about text. Video calls, webinars, and virtual meetings have skyrocketed in popularity, and with that comes a new set of challenges. The key to excelling in virtual conversations lies in presence. Even though you're behind a screen, people are still connecting with you on a human level. Be mindful of your body language, sit up straight, maintain eye contact with the camera, and avoid distractions. A strong, clear voice is essential for holding attention in a virtual space, and your energy should remain just as engaging as if you were in person. Also, be cautious with timing. The asynchronous nature of digital communication means that messages can sometimes sit unanswered for hours or even days. To maintain effective dialogue, strive for timely responses without sounding rushed. And while waiting for a reply, stay engaged in the conversation. If it's a back and forth, don't let the conversation go stale. If it's an email or message, follow up politely without seeming pushy. Finally, let's talk about emotional intelligence in the digital space. Without face-to-face cues, it's easy to overlook how the other person might be feeling, but with a little effort, you can still pick up on emotional undertones. Look for signs of frustration or excitement in their writing style and match your response accordingly. Acknowledge emotions and validate concerns to show empathy, even if you're not physically present. Digital communication is here to stay, and mastering it is key to succeeding in today's fast-paced, interconnected world. When done right, it can be just as powerful, if not more so, than face-to-face conversations. In the next chapter, we'll dive into how to use your communication skills to influence large groups, whether in public speaking or group discussions. Get ready, because the stakes just got higher. Chapter 9. Influencing large groups through public speaking. Let's face it, speaking in front of a crowd can be terrifying. The pressure, the spotlight, the judgment, it's enough to make even the most seasoned professional break a sweat. But public speaking is one of the most powerful forms of communication. Whether you're giving a speech at work, leading a seminar, or even speaking up in a group meeting, your ability to influence a crowd can change the game. The first key to speaking to a group is confidence. This doesn't mean you need to be flawless or have every word memorized. What it does mean is that you must project a sense of self-assurance that conveys your message powerfully. When you walk into a room, carry yourself as if you belong there. Stand tall, make eye contact, and speak clearly. Your body language should communicate to the audience that you are the authority in the room. But confidence alone isn't enough. You also need to connect with your audience. Think of public speaking as a conversation, not a lecture. Yes, you're the one speaking, but the goal is to engage your audience, to make them feel like they're a part of the conversation. This means listening to the room, adjusting based on the energy you feel, and ensuring your message resonates with the audience's needs. Start by understanding your audience. Who are they? What do they care about? What are their challenges? When you can frame your message in a way that speaks directly to their interests, you'll grab their attention and keep it. Tailor your language, examples, and anecdotes to their experiences. If you're speaking to a room full of professionals, use language and scenarios that are relevant to their careers. If you're talking to a diverse group, make sure your examples are relatable to various backgrounds. One powerful tool in influencing groups is the use of storytelling. People connect with stories far more than they do with data or dry facts. We are hardwired to respond to narratives. A well-told story captures attention, evokes emotion, and makes your message memorable. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you make the audience feel. A story can be your secret weapon for making an impact. When preparing your speech, focus on structure. Even in a large group setting, the human brain craves order. A speech should have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Start with an attention-grabbing introduction, something that immediately draws the audience in. This could be a shocking fact, a powerful question, or an intriguing story. Then move into the body of your speech, where you'll lay out your main points in a logical flow. Finally, conclude with a strong, compelling closing that reinforces your message and leaves the audience with something to think about or act upon. However, don't forget the power of interaction. Just because you're standing at the front of the room doesn't mean the audience is passive. Ask questions, invite participation, and give them a chance to respond. This keeps them engaged and creates a sense of dialogue. If you're presenting virtually, use polls, chat features, and Q&A sessions to engage your virtual audience. A final tip: don't fear pauses. Silence is powerful. When you give your audience a moment to process what you've said, it deepens the impact of your message. Don't rush through your speech. Let your words breathe. This gives your audience space to reflect and ensures they are absorbing what you're saying. In one unforgettable example, a well-known entrepreneur spoke to an audience of thousands. Instead of delivering a rehearsed, scripted speech, she began with a personal story of failure. Her vulnerability drew the crowd in, making her appear relatable and authentic. By the end of the talk, the room wasn't just impressed, they were inspired to take action. Her story became the catalyst for change, sparking new ideas, collaborations, and opportunities. Public speaking is an incredible tool for influence, and when mastered, it can amplify your message in ways that other forms of communication simply can't. But now that you know how to influence large groups, let's take things to the next level in our final chapter, where we'll focus on how to inspire lasting change and make a profound impact on the people you communicate with. Stay with me. The best is yet to come. Chapter 10: Inspiring Lasting Change Through Communication. We've come a long way learning how to communicate with confidence, influence others, and lead powerful conversations. But there's one final and most impactful step to becoming a truly exceptional communicator: inspiring lasting change. This isn't just about motivating people in the short term. It's about creating a shift that endures, one that continues to affect how they think, feel, and act long after your conversation has ended. The first key to creating lasting change is clarity of purpose. Before you speak to others, you must be crystal clear on why you're doing it. What is the ultimate goal of your message? Is it to inspire action, challenge existing beliefs, or encourage a new way of thinking? Having a clear purpose not only helps you stay focused, but it also resonates with your audience, who can sense when you speak with intention. To inspire long-term change, you need to appeal to both the head and the heart. Logical arguments are essential, but people are driven by emotions, not just reason. Facts and figures can influence decisions in the short term, but it's the emotional connection that leads to lasting transformation. Tap into the deep desires and struggles of your audience. Share stories of triumph over adversity, of challenges met with resilience. Make them feel something, not just think something. Another crucial element is empowering others. True leaders don't simply give orders or dictate what others should do. They empower those around them to take charge of their own transformation. When you communicate in a way that invites others to act on their own, you create a sense of ownership. People are more likely to make lasting changes when they feel personally invested in the outcome. This means encouraging self-reflection, asking thought-provoking questions, and providing tools and resources that help others take action. One of the most powerful ways to create lasting change is through role modeling. Actions speak louder than words, and the best communicators don't just talk about change, they embody it. When you lead by example, you show others that the change you're advocating for is possible. Whether it's practicing transparency, kindness, resilience, or courage, your actions will inspire others to follow suit. It's the embodiment of your message that leaves the deepest impression. Let's consider an example from history. When Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about his dream, it wasn't just the words that moved people. It was the fact that he lived those words. His courage, his commitment to non-violence, and his unwavering belief in equality inspired millions to join the cause. His communication didn't just change people's minds, it sparked a movement. That's the kind of lasting impact that true communicators can have. Inspiring change also requires vision. You must help your audience see a future that's better than their present. Paint a vivid picture of what could be, one that is tangible, desirable, and within reach. A compelling vision gives people hope, and hope is the fuel for action. Make the change you want to inspire feel like something people can actively work toward, not just something that's out of their control. Finally, recognize that true change takes time. It's not about delivering a perfect message in one sitting. It's about planting the seeds and nurturing them over time. Change happens in stages, often slowly, but with consistency and patience, it will take root. Provide ongoing support, check in on progress, and celebrate milestones, no matter how small. As we conclude this journey, let's look at what we've learned. Communication is not just about speaking. It's about connecting, understanding, influencing, and inspiring others to see a different world and take action toward it. When you master the art of communication, you have the power to shape your reality and the world around you. Now, you have everything you need to become a master communicator, one who doesn't just talk, but moves others to change, grow, and act. As you step into your future, remember, the best communicators are those who create not just moments of influence, but movements of lasting change. Go out there, lead with your words, and make the world a better place, one conversation at a time. As we come to the end of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. Mastering communication isn't just about improving the way you speak. It's about connecting deeply with others, influencing change, and creating meaningful relationships. You've gained the tools to break down barriers, listen with empathy, persuade with clarity, navigate high-stakes situations, and ultimately inspire lasting change. Remember, communication is a skill that requires constant refinement. It's not something you master once and forget. It's a lifelong practice. The more you hone your ability to listen, engage, and connect, the more impact you'll have on those around you. Whether you're leading a team, influencing a crowd, or simply having a conversation with a friend, your words can shape the world in ways you might not even realize. But the true power of communication lies in its ability to inspire action. It's about making others feel seen, heard, and understood. It's about sparking new ideas, challenging old beliefs, and moving people toward positive change. By embodying the principles you've learned, you will not only improve your own life, but also help others unlock their potential and achieve greatness. So, go forward with confidence, knowing that the art of communication is in your hands. Speak with purpose, listen with intent, and never underestimate the impact your words can have. As you continue to grow and evolve, you'll find that the most powerful communicator is not the one with the loudest voice, but the one who speaks from the heart with authenticity, empathy, and a vision for a better future.